asked on Instagram what the most pressing issue in your business was, I got one answer over and over and over, which makes me realize this is the most pressing issue in so many of our businesses, and that's time. Time to do what you want, time to grow your business, time for working on your business after you get off from your day job, time to post regularly and consistently on social media. There's just not enough time in our lives. So this week we're going to talk about how to have more than enough time no matter the season of life that you're in. Welcome to Explore Your Enthusiasm, episode 256 with me, Tara Swiger. Before we get into today's lesson, I want to tell you that I'm doing a free workshop answering your questions about how to use my most loved tool for momentum and productivity and effectiveness, staying well. That's essential oils. So you can come to that free workshop by signing up at taraswiger.com/EO. It will tell you when the next workshop is going to be, no matter when you're listening to this podcast. Also give you a free ebook so you can learn a little more before we do the live workshop. So that's taraswiger.com/EO. You'll find the link wherever you're listening to this right below. You can also find the links to everything I mentioned in this episode. taraswiger.com/podcast 256. Now, if you are like most of my Instagram friends, you constantly feel like there is never enough time. There's just not enough. I heard this over and over. There's just not enough. Between life and family, and maybe you have a day job, and you're growing a business, let alone like adding in the things that help you take care of yourself, like exercise or reading or going out with your friends, like having a life. There's just never enough time to do it all. And I feel you. Like, I am there with you. When we had the 2-year-old foster babe, and she was home with me 24/7 for a month, and we had doctor's appointments and we had social worker appointments, or even after that, when we had to go to 3 visitations a week and she went to school 3 days a week, it felt like I never had enough time to do anything that mattered to me, especially to rest and take care of myself and to get the work done. It just felt constantly like there wasn't enough. So, naive Tara of the past would tell you, just prioritize and find the time to do the things you really want through prioritization. Now that I have been through that ringer, I am here to tell you that there's no easy answer and that it's really hard. Finding the time to do the things that you really want to do in your life on top of the things you have to do in your life is really hard, and there's no easy answer. I mean, I feel like I could just end the podcast right there and be like, okay, guys, we're all dealing with it super hard. See you later. But there are ways to work with the time you have, ways to be more effective with that time you have. And this is what we're going to talk about today. There's a way you can reframe this issue that makes it all feel a little less hopeless and gives you some clarity about how to move forward. So we're going to dive in knowing that there's no easy answer. And I don't have the answer for you, but together we can explore and find the right solution, the right way to look at it for you and what you're going through right now. The first thing I have to do is a little tough love. Are you ready? I gotta ask you, are you really being honest about your current situation, your actual life right now? Are you being honest about your priorities and your capabilities? So many of the people I talk to just aren't being realistic about what they're actually doing, about what they actually care about, and what they're actually capable of. So I'm going to just tell you my own story, and I'm sure you'll see some of yourself in this, or you might be in a totally different situation, but you got to get real. For example, for the first month Honey was with us, Honey's our 2-year-old foster babe, my priority was settling her into our life. It really wasn't working on my business. For starters, it was December. I was already going to take a week off for the Christmas New Year time. So the priority of getting her settled got my time and my energy. And if I'm being honest about my capabilities and the situation we're in, the fact is the first month of being anyone's mom is not really the time to try to be productive at work. So in the US, the average maternity leave is 6 weeks, but in Europe, it's anywhere from 6 months to 2 years, depending on what country you're in. So the kind of like standard I was holding myself to that I would be able to be productive at work in the first month of being someone's mom is like ridiculous. I truly don't have the capability and the capacity to figure out how to be effective in the time I have during my first months of motherhood. But it's not because I suck. It's because that's just how it works. Like my brain was just, it's all new. It's all taken up with. And my real priority, my actual priority was not being productive at work. It was getting a new little person settled into our home. And like, it's not just me. That's how it works for a lot of women. We need the time to adjust. This might be related to you moving or you starting a new job. Or I'll tell you, when people quit their day job to go full-time in their business, that time of transition, just the transition, is a huge brain suck, a huge time suck, energy suck. Being effective with a new time you have, even though it seems like you have all this new time, is not always your priority. Just like getting used to it, holding yourself accountable, showing up and doing the work, being consistent, that is your priority during that time for a lot of people. Now, when I look ahead, will I need the same amount of time to adjust to being a new person's mom for our next placement? I really don't know. Maybe becoming someone's mother and getting them settled into my house is the same no matter how many kids I have, or maybe I'll be better at it because I'm more experienced. I don't know. I can't judge that ahead of time. I have to be honest in the moment and assess my capacity and my priorities in that moment. What I do know is that I need to give myself grace for not being immediately effective, for not immediately snapping to work the minute I have a 30-minute break in order to work, and also not instantaneously trying to get the perfect schedule set that balances both motherhood and work. In fact, we're going to talk more about balance in next week's episode. Episode 257 is going to be more about balance because that's a whole nother topic. Now, your situation is different. It's unlikely you're getting totally new children in your home every couple months, but you also need to do the same process. You need to be honest. What is truly your priority right now? If you have a sick partner or a parent, or you are struggling to heal, or you're moving, or you're changing day jobs, or you are shifting hours of work, it is completely possible that your business effectiveness is not a priority. So you're not being effective, but it's not your priority. That's okay. That's fine. That's part of life. I want you to go back and listen to episode 245, which is about the seasons in your business. If you missed that one, it was a favorite amongst lots of you. It is about how that there are different seasons in your business. There'll be different times for different parts of your business growth cycle. So it's okay to be in a season where you just can't spend as much time as you like on your business. But it's okay. Now, if you're feeling frustrated that you don't have the time to work on your business because you need and want to prioritize something else right now, I want to encourage you that you don't need more time. You just need a mindset shift. You need to realize that you are choosing something else right now and that that is the right thing for you. So I told you it was okay. I told you to give yourself grace. But here's the thing. You need to recognize it's a choice. Because as long as you keep telling yourself, I don't have enough time. If I had enough time, I would get everything done. There's not enough time. You're putting the responsibility for the situation outside of yourself. You're putting, the psychologists call it the locus of control, outside of yourself. You're saying the universe is not giving me enough time. My kids aren't giving me enough time. The day isn't giving me enough time. My job isn't giving me enough time. Instead, you will feel so much more empowered and stronger and clear and focused if you move that locus of control internally and you say, this is my choice. I'm not being tossed around by the winds of fate. I am choosing. Just recognizing that it's your own choice can be incredibly empowering and can make you feel more capable of spending the time you do have effectively, because you're not a victim of the circumstances and the time-space continuum. You are a person who is making choices. Just that mindset shift can really make you more effective in the time you have. Now, some of you are going to argue and say, no, I did not choose this situation. I did not choose this. I did not choose my partner to be sick. I did not choose my parent to need my constant care and attention. I did not choose for my kid to be home from school because of a snow day. Even though if you're listening to this, it's spring, hopefully you're done with snow days. I get it. You did not choose a situation. You did not choose to have chronic pain. You did not choose to just suffer the loss you suffered or the sickness that you went through. You did not choose a situation. But what you're choosing is where to spend your time. You could choose not to spend time with a loved one that needs you. Now, right now you're going, but that's not a choice I would make. Exactly, because you're choosing the thing that's right for you, which is to spend time with this loved one, which is to take care of yourself and heal from your chronic illness, which is to spend time with a foster kid that comes into your life. You could choose to cut people out of your life, to cut off all ties, to have all the time to work on your business. By the way, I know people like this. I know people that have cut everything out of their life so that they can follow their dream, and that might be the perfect decision for them. But if it's not the perfect decision for you, recognize that that's your choice and be happy about that choice. Like, I am happy that I choose to be happily married and spend time with my spouse instead of spending that time on my business. I am choosing, of course, to have foster kids brought into my home. I say yes when I get the phone call, and therefore that's my choice. In the middle of it, when I have 500 social workers come into my house and I have all these stupid appointments scheduled that I don't even know what they're for, and I get there and I don't have the paperwork, so I have to turn around and come back, all with the screaming 2-year-old in the back of my car. I didn't choose that immediate situation, but I chose to spend my time on it. I chose not to go, you know what, get out of my house, I need the time. And that gives me the ability to choose how to spend the time I do have. So, instead of choosing to cut people out of your life, you're choosing love and kindness or care or self-care. That's awesome. Now, maybe you are feeling stuck in a situation you didn't choose that you're not happy with. Maybe you have a day job that you hate, or you're stuck doing things that other people have asked you to do. Other people have obligated you to it, and you're like bitter about it, but you're not happy with how you're spending your time. These are not your priorities. I feel you. So you have two options. It's more tough love, friends. You can choose to see the reasons why this is the right decision for you now. For example, you need the day job money to fund the startup of your business. Elizabeth Gilbert calls this being your own patron of your own art. You are both the artist and you're the patron of the art by working at this day job. Did this for years. As I started up my yarn company, I worked at day jobs I really hated. I mean, I literally worked in the basement of accounts payable and opened mail and stamped mail. That was my job for like 3 months while I was starting my business. And then after that, I worked in a really like toxic office environment for 1.5 years where my boss made me cry regularly. Like, I did that though. I was choosing that time spent, not the crying, but the money so that I could fund what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I highly recommend being your own patron and starting to see your day job as your stepping stone. Having another income takes stress off your business. I'd never recommend that people quit their job and work on their business until their business is already paying what their job pays, until they've already built it up. You do not need that stress. That's one option. Choose to see the reasons that you're choosing this. Make it your own choice. Internalize that choice, even if somebody else put it on you to begin with. Your second choice is you can stop doing those things that you feel like aren't your choice. You can stop doing them. I mean, except for your kids, you can pretty much stop doing anything. And by the way, with your kids, you're probably going to choose option 1, which is choose to see it as your own choice and the reason why you want to keep doing it. So the things you want to stop doing, if you truly don't want to be doing them, stop them. This might be a complicated process. It might mean that you get a divorce. It might mean that you quit a job that was paying your bills. It might mean that you let down a lot of people who are counting on you to do a thing you do not want to do anymore. That's a choice. All of these are choices. So it might be a complicated process to extract yourself from it, but you absolutely can, and you have that choice to make. It is your choice to make. I'm saying a lot about choice and choosing because so many of you, what you come to me with is frustration about your own choices, but you don't recognize that they're your own choices, so you don't feel like you have a way out. And it bums me out because you do have a way out. It might be complicated. It might be unpleasant. You might not want to do it. You might prefer the bad situation you're in to the worst situation you'd be in if you extracted yourself. I don't know. I'm here to help you see you have choices and to help you build the confidence to make the choices that will lead you closer to spending your time the way you want to spend your time. So when we say we don't have enough time, I think a lot of the time what we mean is I don't like my choices and the necessary sacrifices. I don't like the options in front of me because I'm going to have to sacrifice something else to have this. And I get that. but we have to live in reality. And the reality of the space-time continuum is that you simply cannot do everything all at once. I am recording this podcast. I am not napping or reading a book or playing with my former foster babe. I'm going to do that later. I'm not talking to my husband. I am sacrificing all the other things to record this podcast right now. But that's okay. That's a sacrifice I've decided I'm willing to make. Every decision to spend your time on one thing means you're sacrificing something else. This is something I'm trying to instill in my teenage brothers because they don't want to sacrifice anything. They want to have all the fun of being a teenager. They also want money that they have to work a job to get. They also want a car, but they don't want to spend their money on the car. They want a phone, but they don't want to spend the money on the phone because that means they have to work more hours at the job, which means they're spending less time with their friends. And we all know as mature adults, that's adulthood, baby. That's just a fact. But sometimes I think we forget it when it comes to following our dreams, that it's likely that we'll have to sacrifice some time somewhere else to spend time when we want to add a new project to our list of things we're doing. So the sooner you come to embrace this fact and accept it, you'll be able to make decisions accordingly. The sooner you can accept this, the better you'll feel. Now, will you be happy all the time with the available choices? No. There is a lot of things that really suck in life that will require your time and energy because you care about them, because you want to do them, because you want to be there for the people that they're happening to. But studies show that just recognizing that you are making a choice is going to empower you and you're going to make better decisions. You're actually going to feel happier in your life when you recognize it's your choice. By moving that locus of control from outside of yourself to inside of yourself, studies show that people with an internal locus of control that feel like they're making the choices in their life feel better and make better decisions and have happier lives. So that is the reframe you might need if you're thinking you never have enough time for anything. This is the lens to look through, to be wearing when you look at your situation and your schedule. I made these choices. What do I want to do about these choices? So I want you to look at your situation again, now that I've given you all this tough love. Ask yourself the tough question. What is the real priority you have for this season in your life? So like I said, for me in December, it was getting Honey settled in my house. I had a lot of work I wanted to get done, but my actual priority was getting her settled. And then ask yourself, what is your capability? What is your capacity during this season? It's okay if it's not what you want it to be. I mean, it's a bummer, but it's okay. Now, then a harder decision, what are the choices I'm actually making in each day? This shows your real-time priority. What is the thing you're actually prioritizing? Not the thing that you want to prioritize, the thing you're actually prioritizing. And how do you spend your day? And is it on what matters to you? That's a question that's going to help you come to grips with how you're spending your time. A lot of us avoid this. I know I do for sure. So maybe you need to stop doing some things. Maybe you need to quit some commitments. Maybe you just need to accept that right now, in this point of your life, you only have 2 hours a week to work on your business, or maybe you just have your 30-minute lunch break 5 days a week. That's not a bad thing because there is no right answer here. There is no way for you to get this wrong or for you to get this right. It's what's going to work for you. If you feel like when you look at what you're doing and the time you have to do, that you need to make some changes, then make some changes. That's okay. Don't beat yourself up for it. If you feel like the time that you truly have is just not enough, then I want to tell you to stop comparing yourself to others. There is no not enough. This is all comparative and this is all relative to you and your situation. So stop looking at the girl who has 10 hours a day to style her Instagram. Spend your time doing your work, not comparing yourself to others. Stop it. No comparing. Okay? It's my big sister face. Now, the first step is honesty. We talked about getting real about what you're doing, what you want to be doing, what decisions you need to make. The second step is a reality check. Where are you right now? Where are you actually spending your time? And the third step is acceptance of where you are and then working on becoming more effective with the time you do have. You see, you can't focus on being more effective if you don't first accept the real situation you're in. If you try to be effective with 8 hours, but you only have a 1 hour, you're always going to be disappointed. You're always going to feel behind. You're always going to feel like you're never doing enough. You're going to get burnt out so much quicker. So accept the real work day, or call it work session, that you have, and then work to be effective within that. Use that time effectively. Focus on your priorities. Have your to-do list ready. I could talk for hours on how to be effective with the work day you do have, And I have talked for hours on it. In fact, I put my best tips for effectiveness with a big workbook and a big list of links to my effective hacks and apps and tips, all with 6 hours of professionally edited and shot videos with Creative Live exactly on this topic of having an effective workday. You can go find that class at taraswiger.com/time. It'll help you apply this idea of effectiveness to your own workday, whatever your workday is. In it, I talk about accepting your workday, but we really focus on then how to be effective with the time you have. What are some things you can do? What are some apps you can use? What are you actually going to work on? I help you prioritize all that in the class. You're going to be productive with whatever your workday or your work session is. That's at taraswiger.com/time. Now, if your issue is balancing the time you have, we are going to talk about that in next week's episode. So make sure that you've subscribed on iTunes, your favorite podcast app, or on YouTube so you don't miss that episode about balancing. This is really part 1. This is part 2. And did you know you can get these podcast episodes delivered directly to your inbox along with a transcript and links to everything I mentioned? It will all come to your inbox if you sign up at taraswiger.com/podcast256. You'll find today's show notes, and at the bottom, you'll find a sign-up form. Scroll down, sign up there. You will get the weekly podcast delivered right to your inbox. That way, if you don't use iTunes or you never go to YouTube, it's just going to come right to you. Your email will remember you. Will remember you? Your email will remind you. So that's at taraswiger.com/podcast256 for links to everything I talked about, including the class, and to get this directly delivered to your inbox. Now, thank you so much for listening. I wish you a productive, effective, accepting week. You're going to do great.